The car news is depressing. The mad global rush to abandon gasoline-powered cars in favor of hybrid or electrified cars continues to chalk up casualties. This month, Subaru announced that there will not be a gasoline-powered STI based on this generation's WRX platform. WRX people are like, what? No more STI? What's going on? Other manufacturers have signaled the end of their sports cars due to tightening restrictions that's going on all over the world. But one manufacturer is playing by the rules and still producing some amazing cars. We're going to find out who that is right after this break. I don't know if you know this, but I actually now have a merch store, and if you haven't checked out the video description below my videos, then you're missing out. Currently, I've got a pack full of movie quote t-shirts, and more styles are being added every month, and new items are in development right now. So have a look, see if there's anything you like, and wear it with pride. The link is in the video description below. So between efforts to comply with regulations that are built around emission standards and corporate average fuel economy, we call that CAFE requirements here in the United States, the gasoline engine's days are pretty much numbered. I think everybody knows that, even if you've been paying attention at all. So let me explain a little bit about CAFE. You need to understand the backstory. This is the way it works in the United States. Car manufacturers' fleets must achieve a miles per gallon average. Okay, let me try and explain that for people who don't understand this. It basically goes like this. For every V8 Mustang sold making 500 horsepower and getting, say, maybe 14 miles per gallon, Ford must sell an offsetting number of cars getting X number of miles per gallon, so that when they add up all the cars sold and then average out the miles per gallon across that fleet, it must meet the CAFE requirements, corporate average fuel economy. If you want to look it up on Wikipedia, it'll show you a graph, which I'm going to post here in the video. So what happens if the manufacturers fall short? They're going to be fined $14 for every tenth of a gallon that they fall short across their fleet, multiplied though by the manufacturer's total production for all their light vehicles across the United States market. If that had happened to them in 2018, Ford sold 2.3 million cars. That would have meant tens of millions of dollars of fines for Ford. And this is the game that the manufacturers play with CAFE standards. In the old days, Ford, GM, and Chrysler all had their hands in rental car agencies which helped them meet those requirements. Avis partnered with GM. Hertz is an indirect, wholly owned subsidiary of Ford. And Chrysler had a relationship with Budget and then bought Dollar Rent-A-Car in 1990. Why is this relevant? Because through these relationships, the big three manufacturers were able to offload cars to these rental companies, take them off their books and put them into these rental car fleets so that they can get more miles per gallon on their average of their fleet. And it was a thing that they did every year. But those days are mostly gone as the USA moves towards stricter regulations. Currently, the fleet average is set to about 47 miles per gallon. That's what CAFE standards are right now as of 2021, 2022. NHTSA sets the CAFE standards for passenger cars and for light trucks. Collectively, we call these light-duty vehicles for regulation purposes. There are indications that these standards are still going up and are going to go up to be around 50 to 54 miles per gallon by the year 2030, which is not very far off. Europe has gone so far to say that it wants to ban the sales of all new gasoline and all new diesel-powered vehicles by 2035. Now, they might not meet that deadline, but it is coming. By 2040, you can guarantee that those regulations will be in place. Strange times we're living in, my friends. And frankly, there are only three ways to meet these goals. One, cars must get lighter and smaller. Carrying around a bunch of weight eats up gas. Engines need to get smaller and more efficient. Turbochargers, superchargers, or both. Plasma ignitions, all sorts of things. Or they're going to have to ditch gasoline engines in favor of alternative energy, whether it's hydrogen, electricity, or any combination of these three strategies collectively. Sorry for the long backstory, but my point is very simple. If you want a fast car today, here in 2022, you have fewer options than ever before, and it's just going to get worse. Already we've been seeing smaller engines in cars that you would never expect. I was surprised to learn that the new Porsche Macan T has a turbo all-wheel drive, and it's an SUV using a 4-cylinder engine. That's an awful lot of weight to be chugging around in a 4-cylinder. It's also a far cry from the early Cayenne V8s we saw first in 2003. Just quietly got smaller and smaller. However, there were even more shocking developments closer to home, namely that many manufacturers have announced the end of the line for many of their popular sports cars. Some of these nameplates have been around longer than I've been alive, and I'm old. So, Dodge has already told the world that the Challenger is on its last legs as we know it. It is going to be cut and replaced with an electrified adaptation of the platform. The Charger will most certainly follow suit if it exists at all, and that will probably happen by 2024. The future of the Mustang is undecided beyond 2023. No announcements have been made. The Mustang Mach-E will continue, given, of course, that it's electric, but let's be real, putting a Mustang badge on an SUV is sacrilege, and I feel like it's pandering. So do what you got to do to sell cars for it. I get it. I don't want to bag on the Mustang E. I've seen the interior. It's absolutely fabulous. And by most accounts, the Mach-E is a fine vehicle. It's not just it's just not a rumbling V8 that can lay rubber and slay crowds with the tap of the gas pedal. So it's just not what it was, okay? Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, time will tell. But right now, if I'm shopping for a Mustang, I am not going in and buying an SUV. It's just never gonna happen. And so here we are in 2022, watching sports cars disappearing faster than a cucumber in an OnlyFans video. Oh, man. I think I have Tourette syndrome. But Toyota has manned up, though, with the Mark V Supra, which is getting a manual transmission, the FRS GT86, and including a Hakone edition. These are some fine cars, and only Toyota is doing this, right? The Supra has been a runaway hit. With the 6-speed, that should be badass. The B58 motor and the thing is fantastic. Great tuning protection. The fact that Toyota is still offering front-engine, rear-wheel drive cars is inspiring. It's just fabulous. One of the few manufacturers are doing this and producing cars that people can actually afford. And now we've just learned that the GR Corolla were coming to the USA. Yes. Why I'm excited about this car? I'm going to tell you why. It's sporting a 1.6-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, making 300 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque, running through a true manual 6-speed gearbox and through a custom programmable all-wheel drive system. The last 3-cylinder car, remember, was the Chevy Sprint. Look it up. The power band on the Corolla is said to be strong from 3,000 to 5,500 RPMs, and the peak power comes on at 6,500 RPM. The 10.8 to 1 power ratio is slightly better than the GR Yaris, so all this is going to add up to 0 to 60 times in the low 5 seconds. Maybe a tad better. I'm sure people are going to turn up the boost too. But if you run the numbers and do some calculations, this car should run a quarter mile time in the high 12-second range, maybe 12.7, 12.8, something like that. That's a rocket ship, even when compared to the old Acura Integra GSRs. By comparison, a stock Civic Type R today runs mid-13s, 13.5, 13.6, something like that, depending on who's driving and what kind of track prep you have. So this is going to be a fast car. I remember when V8 Mustangs weren't even running 12s. Can you imagine if an old school Integra GSR ran that right off the showroom floor? Fantastic. In my opinion, we are witnessing something not seen since the Celica GT4 was here in the United States. Of course, here in the US, we called it the All-Track Turbo. And this was a car that made a big name for itself in WRC. It had the 3S GE engine that needs no introduction. But you think about it, that car only made 200 horsepower and it had to use a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged setup. So technology moves on. These cars get smaller engines and more powerful. The GR Corolla also bests the VW GTR in power. And let's not forget that the GTI is only available in front-wheel drive. Okay. The GR Corolla churns out 185 horsepower per liter and 43 more ponies than the GR Yaris. The GR all-wheel drive system is pretty cool. It allows the driver to choose between different power distribution modes, starting with a 60-40 front-to-rear split for everyday driving, up to 30-70 to allow for drifting antics, and a 50-50 split option is intended to provide maximum traction for racing. Multiple options, I'm sure they're going to be tunable as well. The top spec Circuit Edition trim comes with standard front and rear limited slip differentials. The base core model offers those as an option, so if you don't go for the Circuit, please, for the love of God, order it with the front and rear LSDs. You'll be really happy that you did. And frankly, you're not going to get any kind of performance out of it if you're not using front and rear LSDs. The creature comforts, from what I can see, look pretty top-notch. The GR Corolla shares most of its cabin with the existing standard Corolla hatchback, which means that you can count on good build quality, soft touch materials, and plenty of features, but with racier trim and sports seats, which look pretty comfortable. Standard equipment includes things like ambient interior lighting, a 6-way adjustable driver's seat, push button start, and aluminum pedal covers, so you don't have to go out and buy them at Pep Boys. Please don't do that. Other things include things like automatic climate control, heated seats, and a heated steering wheel, which are all standard on the Circuit Edition, which also wears suede and faux leather upholstery in place of the base model's cloth interior pinnings. I know what you're thinking, I'll get to that in a minute. There's an 8-inch infotainment display with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which will be standard, and also includes Amazon Alexa capability and onboard Wi-Fi hotspot. Can't we just drive? Can't we just drive? I remember when cars didn't come with cup holders. The technology package on the core models adds an 8-speaker JBL stereo system, a wireless smartphone charging pad, and in-dash navigation. Don't we just use our phones for that anymore? These items are all standard on the Circuit Edition. I think the Circuit Edition is the best bet. Pricing has not been released officially, but I predict that they will come in at around $34,000 and maybe a little bit more if you check off every one of the option boxes, but we'll have to see. Frankly, this car is a tuner's dream. I can't think of a better one on the road today. I don't think there will be many chances to own a brand new, truly collectible tuner in the future, given what I said earlier in this video and the way the world is moving towards alternative energy. There's no doubt that gasoline engines are on their way out, and most manufacturers are moving to smaller engines, hybridization, or electrification. I think everybody knows that, and if you've been paying attention at all. Cars like the Honda Civic Type R and the Mark V Supra, the GT86, and now the GR Corolla are the hottest tuner cars available today, in my opinion. And just look at the GR Corolla. It's a work of art from every angle. It's just a stunner. 19-year-old me would be all over that thing. It looks like it's ready for WRC right out of the box. It easily outshines the Civic Type R, which borders on gaudy, with all of its fins, vents, grills, most of which were fake, and it just feels ricey to me. I drove it. It was a fantastic car, but I didn't like the looks. So for 2023, you can go for the GR Corolla or the Civic Type R, and while the Type R is more powerful, it is only available in front-wheel drive, and it's going to be more expensive. So if you want one of these things, you better find a dealer who can take a deposit as soon as you can if you're serious about it, because these things are going to be scooped up and people are probably going to be overbidding on them. So it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Let's go.